This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is December 22nd, 2022. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what is up, bro? How is your toe?
My toe hurts. I'm having to rearrange where I'm recording. Moved into, recording in the bedroom from the bedroom now, but we're recording late, so I moved it out to the dining room so, Cole and Lauren could sleep. I dropped a piece of my normal mic boom stand on my toe, just squarely hit it right on the big toe, right on the nail, and it's already bruising. So I honestly, if the Magic would have lost tonight, I'd be doing way worse. But the Magic win is lifting my spirits, and it's making me not think about the toe as much. Now, if the Magic had lost, I don't know, how I would be on the pod tonight, if I would be on the pod tonight. You know what I'm saying?
I can tell you, after Monday's loss, had we lost tonight, this definitely would have been a dark pod, like probably unreasonably so. But yeah, we'll talk more about these games. But that Monday loss just is going to haunt me for a while. But folks, I did want to let you know, if you weren't aware already, NBA All-Star voting is open. You can vote for your favorite Orlando Magic players, specifically Paolo, Banchero, and Franz Wagner, on NBA.com or in the NBA app. For now and the next several weeks here, the NBA has instituted a few of what they're calling 3-for-1 days, where if you vote once, it's going to count 3 times. Those days are going to be December 25th, January 1st, January 6th, January 13th, 16th, and 20th. So mark those days on your calendar, in your phone, whatever. Those days, if you vote for Paolo Banchero. I just sneezed. If you vote for Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner those days, you're going to get a 3-for-1 vote. So don't forget to do that. Luke, have you voted for Paolo, Franz Wagner, any of those other people, that play for the Orlando Magic team that you might want to see in the All-Star game? Because I know that I have.
Yeah. Of course, I've voted every day so far. Little Franz and Paolo action. Those are my main two. If I'm being honest, I'm being a homer a little bit here, obviously, with the Franz and Paolo votes, but the rest of them are more so like a realistic thing of people who I'd like to see. So yeah, I'm absolutely casting those votes. I hope that everybody else is actually casting votes seriously in terms of, if you really want Magic players in it, cast it. If you're not voting for Paolo and Franz, you're wasting your days. So I hope they're doing that.
My favorite thing about the All-Star voting is that the NBA took away the voting from Twitter option this year, because last year Andrew Wiggins was voted as an All-Star starter with the help of a very famous K-pop star. And the Twitter voting just got crazy for him. So the NBA's like, yeah, we're not doing this at all. I'm surprised to a certain extent that they still allow fans to vote because just antics, especially with social media. Things can go viral now, and things can just kind of get out of hand. But it was funny to see Andrew Wiggins as an All-Star last year. Obviously, they win the title, so you can't be too mad at that. But yeah, folks, make sure you're voting for your favorite Magic players, your favorite NBA players. Again, make sure you go to NBA.com, and in the NBA app, you can vote for your All-Star selections. In other news, we are having another watch party. We mentioned this last week, but we're going to continue to push this for the next several weeks here. The next one is going to be at the Porch South Orange, which is located at 4757 South Orange Ave. That's going to be January 7th. I believe it's going to start at 8 o'clock until further notice if we're told otherwise. But tip-off for that game against the Warriors is going to be at 8:30, and all these watch parties have been starting 30 minutes before tip. So I think it's safe to assume it's going to start at 8 o'clock. Again, that's going to be at the Porch South Orange, 4757 South Orange Avenue. I sent the menu to my wife, Luke, and she looked at it for approximately 3 seconds, just saw the first few apps, and she's like, yeah, I'm going. We'll find a babysitter for the kids somehow, some way. So yeah,
Perfect.
the missus is going to make the trip to the next watch party, but looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
We failed to well I failed usually because I didn't put it in the notes for our last episode. But there is a one player in particular, somewhat of an unsung hero as of late, especially in that second win over the Boston Celtics. And we mentioned it in the pod. We said, "Oh, we need to talk about Admiral Schofield more when we talk about that second Boston game from last Sunday." And then we totally forgot to bring Admiral Schofield back up. So I just wanted to take a moment here, give a special shout out to Admiral Schofield, and even Kevon Harris, to a certain extent. But Admiral Schofield has just been doing work, especially offensively, for a guy that most Magic fans expected and maybe hoped that wouldn't get that many minutes this season due to injury. It's been absolutely necessary. Going back to that Boston game, Admiral Schofield was phenomenal. In almost 17 minutes, he had 13 points, 5 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 5 from behind the arc. He added 4 rebounds and a steal in that game. And Luke, over the last 4 games for Admiral Schofield, in just over 14 minutes, he's averaging 8 points. He's shooting 61% from the floor, 46 from behind the arc, and adding almost 4 rebounds and an assist per game. Admiral is just, he's really gone up a level, I think. Last year, he was just really like a hustle and rebound and kind of give you some defense and a few spot minutes in each game. But this season, shooting the ball pretty well from behind the arc. This year on the season, he's shooting 38% from 3, 48% from the floor. And he's even putting the ball on the floor a little bit, getting to the basket. He's a physical guy, kind of brings a little bit of an edge on the defensive end of the floor. And yeah, just want to take a minute to shout out Admiral. He's been awesome.
Yeah, he's been a lot of fun in terms of just really the last 3 games, right? Like you've seen it, you've talked about it. And against Boston, it was scoring, and that's where he made his presence known. Even 4 rebounds in 17 minutes is good. He had 7 rebounds against the Hawks in 13 minutes, along with his 19 points, 50% from 3, 2 of 4 against Boston, 3 of 5. Couldn't connect from the perimeter tonight, 0 of 2, but he was able to, just kind of he facilitated. He had 2 assists, which is 2 assists more than he had in the 2 games prior. So it just seems like he's doing something new and trying to contribute, more every game, it seems. But yeah, in the last 3 games, Jonathan, he has shot almost 4 attempts from 3 a game and shooting 45.5%. So I can't really complain. You can never complain when a G leaguer is just doing what you ask of him, but a little bit more. Like he has definitely stepped up to the occasion. Kevon Harris, like you said, defensively, he's incredible. There's like a stat that I believe it was NBA University put out. I'm not sure where he found it from, but essentially the Kevon Harris is in the top 10, I believe, and guarding the most effective scorer on the opposing team night in and night out. So he's drawing those assignments. They're literally just telling Kevon Harris, play defense. That's really all we need you to do. And that's what he's been doing. So both of these guys have stepped up in their own rights more than you would expect a G leaguer to. Definitely better than the options we've had in the past when it comes to two-way players.
Yeah, Admiral again was great tonight. Both of those guys played really well down the stretch to help the Magic get back into the game tonight against the Houston Rockets. Kevon had probably the biggest no, yes 3 of my entire lifetime. Yeah. Like pulled it up super early in the shot clock. I'm like, Kevon, what are we doing? And the dude knocked it into his credit. So give those guys their flowers. They've been awesome lately. We just wanted to take a couple of minutes and give those guys like a few minutes just because like they've been really awesome and they deserve a ton of credit and they deserve a few minutes talked about them. That's the very least that we could do for them helping the team that we love so much get some wins lately.
Yep.
Also, folks, no secret, it is the magical Christmas season here. When you guys are listening to this, Christmas is going to be just 3 days away. It's crazy to say that already. And we wanted to have a little Christmas fun, a little bit of a Christmas draft here, something to do on the pod before we get into the Magic talk. So we are going to be doing an all-time Christmas song draft. Luke was lucky enough to win the coin flip, so we're going to go back and forth here, 5 songs each. And yeah, we'll see how we stack up against each other. Luke, I will let you start off as you won the coin flip, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, there's a lot of different routes you can go, but I'm going
Oh, I
just with
don't
my
think
heart.
so.
I'm going with my heart. It's a shocker. It's a stunner. I'm going "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas"
Oh,
by Sam Smith. By Sam
that is
Smith,
top
and
tier.
incredible.
Absolutely top tier.
He is my go-to when someone's like, "Can you play Christmas music?" I was like, "Yeah, great. I can do that for you." And I just put on Sam Smith. "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." Number one.
I will tell you that would not have made it very far. So if you wanted it, you had to get it number one.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it is an easy number one. She starts the frosting around
Mm.
October. It's All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. To me, it is the GOAT Christmas song. I don't think it's a debate. Sam Smith is Have Yourself a Very Merry Little Christmas, whatever the heck his is. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely incredible. What makes me mad about that song is like, Sam, give us a whole Christmas album. What are you doing with this single? We want a
Mm-hmm.
Christmas album. Sam Smith, his first album is one of my favorite albums of all time. You probably didn't know that, but yeah, very talented guy. But for me, it's All I Want for Christmas Is You, Mariah Carey. Like it's just, it's got everything that you need in a Christmas song. It's a classic. It's iconic. My number one, Mariah Carey.
I can respect it. I can respect it. Number two pick for me. It's gonna be. Oh, there's another heart pick. I wasn't gonna go this way, but I'm going to. You're a Biebs guy. I'm a Biebs guy. Mistletoe. Number two.
Mistletoe.
Yeah.
Mistletoe is on my list. It's not in my top five, so I'm not
Mm.
heartbroken about this, but I do have it on my list.
Yeah.
Fantastic song. This is awesome because Mistletoe was, now everybody loves Justin Bieber. Right now people do. This was when it was not cool to listen to Justin Bieber, and I still did. I'm not ashamed of that. Fantastic song.
Love that.
Number two for me is going to be Cold December Night by Michael Bublé. Michael Bublé, in my opinion, probably has the best like total Christmas album. When I want to throw on Christmas music, somebody asks, "Hey, throw on Christmas music?" I'm just throwing on the Michael Bublé Christmas album. Shuffle, repeat for hours and hours. Doesn't matter. Love Michael Bublé, and I love that freaking song.
All right, Jonathan. I'm staying in the same vein, the Bublé vein. I'm going. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, specifically by Bublé. Incredible. Couldn't agree with you more. The album, phenomenal, top to bottom. This is a classic, and it's Bublé. So you put those together, it's got to be a top three pick for me.
It is a fantastic rendition. I have to let you know, I've never respected you more than I respect you right now, being a Michael Bublé Christmas album truther. My third pick. This is going to be. I feel like people are going to listen to this, and these aren't like necessarily the classics. These are more maybe eclectic or maybe not as well known. And some people are going to go and listen to these and be like, "Man, these six-man show guys are Christmas music aficionados. Like they really know what they're talking about." My third is going to be Chris Brown's version of This Christmas. Absolute classic. Banger.
Okay. I like that one. That's a good one. It's a great one. And I appreciate, the heart voting here.
Yep.
I'm going to go here with my fourth pick. I'm going over to Pentatonics, and I'm going God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. I'm a big fan of a lot of the Pentatonics Christmas stuff. I don't think you can go wrong. I'm just a sucker for it. And so that's my fourth pick here.
I respect that. I'm not going to say anything else. I don't want to, reveal my future potential picks here. This one, this is a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't know that I'm particularly proud of this one, but every time it comes on, I start moving a little bit and I can't control it. And this is out of character for me because I don't usually listen to a lot of this artist's music outside of this song. Ariana Grande's Santa, Tell Me. That song, I don't know what it is, man. Gets the people going.
Dude,
The banger.
No lie, it's on my list. It's on my list.
It's a great one.
And it was like my number 8. So it absolutely on my list. Can respect it for sure. Guilty pleasure song. If I wasn't so ashamed of it being that song, I probably would have it higher on the list, to be honest with you. It's just a great song.
It is.
So with my 5th and final pick to round it out, I'm going Santa Claus is Coming to Town by the Jackson 5.
Ooh.
That is
yes.
my 5th and final.
Good one.
Yep.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
My 5th and final, and it's funny that you brought up the Pentatonics because they have a rendition of the song that I love. But I found a new one this year. Mary Did You Know? Maverick City Music. Maverick City put out a whole Christmas album, which is fantastic. But the Pentatonics version of Mary Did You Know? All I did on this song is I just wrote Mary Did You Know because there are many renditions that I've heard, and most of them are fantastic, but I love Mary Did You Know?
You know, so Lauren really trolls me for liking that song at all. She does. She thinks that it's a little. I think she thinks it's a little cheesy. But I can't get away from this.
Singing about the mother of Jesus Christ, cheesy, unbelievable.
Listen, I know, unbelievable. Can you believe it? I just remember when I heard that song for the first time, Jonathan. I was blown away at the concept. I can't lie to you. My little brain just couldn't wrap my brain around it. So I applaud that. I really do appreciate it for sure. So
for the listeners,
real quick,
one more time.
We end this.
Run through your list. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson. Like that one quite a bit. Okay. Carol of the Bells by Pentatonics. I did have Mary Did You Know by Pentatonics on my list as well. Jingle Bell Rock as a classic was another one.
Bobby Helms. The classic Jingle Bell Rock. Yep. I've got it on my list.
And then Last Christmas by Wham was on my list as well.
Ooh, I have a hot take. I hate that song. There's nothing Christmas about that song except the word Christmas.
Yeah, well, they're just talking about, last Christmas he gave you his heart.
My issue, well, you know what? I actually like the Taylor Swift version of that song better. Kevin is going to love that take, by the way. But for me, the bare minimum that I need in a Christmas song is I need some jingle bells in the back. And Last Christmas by Wham gives you none of that. It's like if you just took this song, removed the word Christmas, it's just another pop song from the 80s.
Yeah.
That's my take.
It's true.
Might not be popular.
It's true. I mean, it was to be fair, it was an honorable mention. It was very far down the list, but it was on the list. So I had to name it. It's
so what was your 5 again that you drafted?
My 5 was Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Sam Smith, Mistletoe by Justin Bieber, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas by Bublé, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen by Pentatonics, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Jackson 5.
That's a hard list to beat. Mine was All I Want for Christmas Is You, Mariah Carey, Cold December Night by Michael Bublé, This Christmas by Chris Brown, Santa Tell Me, I love that song, by Ariana Grande, and then Mary Did You Know? Maverick City Music. My honorable mentions, Mistletoe. I had Mistletoe in there. I had Jingle Bell Rock, and then Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee. Another classic. Yeah. My daughter would kill me if I did not mention Spidey Bells. When Into the Spider-Verse came out a few years ago, they released a very short 5-song Christmas album, and there's a song on there, Spidey Bells, that Chris Pine sings, and we just have a ton of fun with that one in the car. But let us know in the comments below your favorite Christmas music and who you think won the draft, and maybe what your top 5 Christmas songs are. We'd love to hear that. Okay, Luke, let's get into the state of the Magic. So far this week, the Magic are 1-1, bringing them to a record of 12-21. They have the 5th worst record in the league. They are 13th in the Eastern Conference, but they are 2.5 games back of Toronto for the final play-in spot currently. They're still 20 games ahead of last season's pace. The Magic have an offensive rating of 110.4, which ranks 24th in the league. They have a defensive rating of 113.9, which ranks 23rd in the league. Their overall net rating is negative 3.4, which is 26th in the league. On the injury front, Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter Jr. are still out, but Wendell is returning on Friday, or at least is believed to be returning. He thinks he's going to return Friday against the San Antonio Spurs. That has not been officially announced by the team, so just kind of be patient. Take that with a grain of salt. We'll see what happens, but I would expect him to play on Friday. It seems like he's playing, feeling pretty well. Jalen Suggs is still out, but he had a pretty cryptic Instagram post the other day with, it seems like he's sitting there thinking, and it's the hourglass, and it's the picture of him doing the Magic City thing against the Bulls last year where he dunked on DeMar DeRozan. We don't know what the hell it means. Stop with these cryptic Instagram stories. Just tell us what you mean, Jalen Suggs. But hopefully he's back soon. Gary Harris is still out, and we did get some bad news this week. It was announced that Chuma Okeke underwent an arthroscopic surgery called a chondroplasty on his left knee. It's the same knee that he tore the ACL back in the NCAA tournament before he was drafted. He's also had a left knee bone bruise in his rookie year, I believe that was. And then he's been dealing with this left knee soreness so far. To me, it seems like, because we heard that he had returned to practice, they probably had this this is all speculation, by the way. Probably had this preliminary window where they were trying to get him pain-free. He started practicing, kind of see how he would respond to that, and the soreness probably came back. So for those of you who aren't aware of what a chondroplasty is, I had no idea what it was. This is the Google definition. It says it is a surgical procedure to repair and reshape damaged cartilage in a joint. This procedure involves smoothing degenerative cartilage and trimming any unstable flaps of cartilage. I'm not saying this is what it is. When I hear the word degenerative, I think Brandon Roy, and that scares the hell out of me. And the fact that it's the same knee that he's had previous injuries in, he had the ACL, now he's having, this knee soreness, and maybe it's not a big deal, but when I read that, my heart kind of stopped. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but when I read that, I was a little bit worried. But what this really just comes down to is that it sucks for Chuma. He's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks, and they'll kind of see how he's feeling, Luke.
Yeah, it just really, really stinks to see that, you get great news with Wendell Carter Jr. possibly coming back Friday. But as it is always with the Magic, you get a piece of good news that's on the injury front. It means you got to trade it for a piece of bad news. And I'm just tired of it. I am just tired of it. I'm sure everybody else is as well. Very unfortunate for Chuma, and hopefully we get good news when they reevaluate him here in about a month.
We sure hope so. Chuma, rest up. Best wishes. Hope you're back as soon as possible. We can get you back on the floor. Luke, I don't know if you knew this. I think you knew this. But we do have a Patreon where folks can financially support the show, partner with us.
I'm familiar.
Help us do all of the cool and awesome things that we do and love and have so much fun doing. If you want to find out more about our Patreon, Luke, you can go to patreon.com/The Sixth Man Show. Funny enough, your mom is actually one of our patrons, so if you don't know about it already, wow. I don't know how you've kind of missed out on that. But yeah, 3 awesome tiers of benefits. We have a really awesome benefit coming pretty soon that we're still working out the details on, so just tune into the show for more details on that. But we have things right now where you can join our Discord community and chat with Magic fans all day, every day. It's always super active, especially during games. It's a lot of fun. We also have monthly Zoom calls with our Hall of Fame tier patrons where we just hang out for an hour each month, talk about the NBA, talk about each other's lives, talk about the Orlando Magic, our jobs, whatever the case may be. It's always a lot of fun. And we shout out our brand new patrons every episode, every time that we have them. This week, our newest patron is Himlo Banchero, which I don't think is this person's real name. It seems to be a play on Paolo Banchero being him. Himlo Banchero. Very, very funny name. He actually went the Hall of Fame tier, and he went the whole year. He's like, I haven't been a patron before. I'm just going to go all in, and he went the whole year. So Himlo Banchero, thank you so much for your support. We really, really appreciate it. Welcome to our Patreon community. Make sure that you get into the Discord. Make sure that you join us for our next Zoom call. The next one is probably going to be, I would guess, probably like the early part of 2023, now that we're coming up on the year's end here. And then we shout out all of our Hall of Fame tier patrons every single episode. I'll go ahead and start with our buddies over at Court Cousins, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Julio, Bailey, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, Franz Go to Fichot, The Distract, Mo Bamba, Yo Mama, Petition to get producer Kevin on every show, Pierre A, Megzors, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Drum, Danimal, Dutto 15, Bobby Skinner, Goody 93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Geraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Jose Esquilin, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Ty Mr. TV, Chad 3045, Joe Rothfuss, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Bruce, Half Rican, Shahin 177, and Himlo Ban Himro. Thank you guys all so much for your patronage, I guess is the correct term there. Again, you can find us at patreon.com/the6man-show. Luke, let's talk about this game from Monday against the Atlanta Hawks. We're going to do this a little bit differently. Usually we'll just kind of talk about the whole game. I want to start at the very end, and then we can kind of talk bigger picture, as long as that's okay with you. The Magic in this game in the fourth quarter were down 112 to 124 with 3:05 to go. After Trae Young pulled up, the Hawks were up 9. He pulled up literally from the logo, made the shot, put the Hawks up 3:05 with 3:05 to go. They're up by 12. At this point, Luke, I have a rule. I think we've talked about it on the show before, at least for myself. If I'm watching a game and the Magic are either ahead or trailing by 10 with 5 minutes to go, almost all of the time you can feel pretty good about the Magic winning or losing that game. Down 12, especially after a big shot like that, the second night of a back-to-back, the game is over. You have no chance of winning. You might as well turn the game off. Now, something happened after that 3. Trae is kind of walking to the bench after the Magic call a timeout. Mo Wagner is kind of walking past him. Trae kind of exchanges words with Mo Wagner. Mo didn't really seem to pay him any kind of attention. Trae was just really complaining this entire second half. After the timeout, Trae comes out. He's still complaining to the refs about Mo Wagner, so he's teed up. Starting at that point, the Magic go on a 13-0 run with a lineup of Markelle Fultz, Kevon Harris, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Mo Wagner. The Magic 13-0 run capped off with a Markelle Fultz layup to give the Magic a 1-point lead with 3.8 seconds left. The Hawks call a timeout. They had dropped this sideline after timeout out of bounds play. Ball gets to DeJounte Murray. He goes for like a long fall away 2. Paolo Banchero gets just a little bit too close, fouls him with 1.3 seconds left. Murray makes both of the free throws. The Magic have the ball with 1.3 seconds left. They call timeout. Inbound the ball. Paolo Banchero does not get a shot off before the buzzer. He missed the shot anyways, and the Magic lose this game, Luke. This was one of the most frustrating games. All of a sudden, it was super exciting and exhilarating. You have the lead with 3.8 seconds left. I think the Magic are winning this game. They're on their way to their 7th win in a row. That would have been, and then all of a sudden, it just you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and you lose this game, Luke. What was this? This broke me. I was really upset about it. I'm still upset about it. But what was your reaction to just those last few minutes?
It's tough, right? Like, this is the one going on our last episode, looking at the week ahead. This was the game that you and I believe both of us, we agreed that this is the game the Magic are probably going to drop. If there's a game you're going to drop, it's going to be this one. I think we said the Magic would go 2-1 on the week, with that one being the loss. So going into it, I'm already expecting a loss. You're down 12, well, right, with 3 to go. What was it with 5?
3:05.
When was it? Yeah, okay. So you're down 12 with like 3 minutes to go, roughly. At that point, I'm holding my son, who unironically or ironically is named Cole, and I'm holding my son, and I just am blankly staring at the TV. It's the point in the game where I'm just like, I'm gonna torture myself through the rest of this, but I'm not gonna like it. I ended up liking it. Got down to the final possession. I'm just sitting there. My wife comes in the room. Lauren comes in the room, And I talk to myself during these games, right? I'm cheering after baskets. I'm saying whatever, right? The only thing I am saying in those final 3.8 seconds on the initial inbound is don't foul, don't foul, don't foul, don't foul. That is all that I'm saying repeatedly. And Lauren's looking at me like, this is my usual behavior, because it is. And you get the deflection. Clock goes down 3.6 seconds, I believe, at that point. I'm saying the same thing over and over again. And so when I hear a whistle get blown, I'm heartbroken. And I know that it's a foul. Like, there's no way around it. People were trying to argue it wasn't a foul. There's no way that was a foul. It was absolutely a foul. And it was an unfortunate one. But Paolo just trying to make a play. I don't know that I blame Paolo for that moment. Almost had he did have a chance to redeem himself with that last play. Just can't get it to go. I believe it was DeJounte Murray who was already basically in Paolo's mouth by the point that he caught the ball. He takes an escape dribble and he misses the three. Don't look at me like that. It is the truth. But yeah.
Interesting choice of words. That's all.
Well, it is what it is. But I think that this is definitely a game where we know that the Magic have always fought hard down the stretch, whether that be last year or this season. But I don't think that that comeback happens even during that losing streak we had, or before then, or even last year, if I'm being honest. There's not a high likelihood of it happening. But with this team, they not only are fighting to the end, but they have the chemistry, they have the continuity now a little bit more, allows them to rely on each other. They know the closing, who the closing lineup will probably be. They know each other's game. You're capable of making these comebacks now. So when you pair that with always fighting hard down the stretch, being a young team that hates to lose, and on a win streak like you were on, I was just glad that they showed signs of life in the final 3 minutes, that they didn't stop, that they didn't quit, because I wouldn't have faulted them at that point. I was staring at the TV, like I said, blankly, because I just thought it was over. So yeah, Trae Young, technical, sets it off. Really wish we would have won that game. But A, I'm not surprised. And B, I'm not disappointed in the loss, to be honest. It is what it is. The team fought. I can't ask for much more at that point.
So this game reminded me of a game from last season, and now I'm going back and I'm looking at it here because somehow this game felt even crazier. But looking at this, I don't know if you remember this. This is early in the season. I think it was the 6th game of the year last year. We're playing Toronto in Toronto. The Magic trail 98-110 with 2:04 to go. They lost that game 109-110. They were down 12 with 2:04 to go, and they basically closed the game on an 11-0 run, have a chance to win it at the end, and they lose the game, obviously. But that was the one that came to mind. I think, that's last year we start, 1-5, or 1-4 before you lose that game. I think this game hurt a lot more because you were so close to that 7-game winning streak. And then you look, it's like, all right, beat Houston, beat San Antonio, 2 games that you should win. All of a sudden, now you're tying the franchise record, longest win streak. And then you have a chance to play the Lakers. And how awesome would it be to beat the Lakers for this team specifically to set the franchise record, consecutive wins? To me, that would have been the funniest thing ever when you've had, teams like the 2009 and 2010 Magic and the 95 Magic, obviously. But if this team would have been able to, and season's not over. I don't know that we're going to have another, crazy win streak like that. But how awesome would it have been for this team to break the franchise? And we were still 3 games away from that. So the fact that I was even thinking this far ahead was probably a little bit silly. But man, if I lied and said I wasn't hopeful for it, man, and just seeing the team come back and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to win this game on a Markelle Fultz game winner, and then it's just robbed from you instantly. And yes, the foul on DeJounte Murray was 100% a foul, but that is a call that I think at an earlier point in the game, I think it's a 50-50 call. We've seen contact like that, not the whistle not get blown. So it was totally a foul. I don't fault Paolo Banchero. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, and he's trying to make a play to win the game for his team. The thing that really sucks is if he's 6 feet short on that contest, doesn't foul, DeJounte Murray had no chance to hit that shot and the Magic win. So, but really, if we look at this game in its totality, the Hawks scored 62 points in the paint in this game, Luke. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I do know what it is about Trae Young. Like he's a special player. This dude just cuts the Magic up with such surgical precision and speed. Without Jalen Suggs, the Magic have nobody that can hang with Trae Young, other than Kevon Harris the last few minutes of this game, because he really was incredible on Trae. It makes me think that maybe Kevon should have played more than 8.5 minutes in this game. Now, it's pretty funny because we've criticized Mosley all year for playing Kevon Harris over guys like RJ Hampton. But if Kevon gets some more minutes in this game, maybe the Magic have a better chance of winning it. But Trae Young, 37 points, 13 assists, like 12 of 12 from the free throw line. The Magic just don't have an answer for Trae Young and a ball handler of his capacity. The problem with Trae Young is when he penetrates, you either play up on him and you're giving up a lob, or you play off and that floater is automatic. He gets in the paint, it's almost a guaranteed bucket for the Hawks one way or the other. It just felt like as a unit, we didn't see the same intensity. And of course, it's the second night of a back-to-back, very emotional win in Boston the night before. We didn't see the same intensity that we've seen defensively out of this group during this winning streak. So it was a little bit disappointing in that respect, but seeing this team never give up and fight all the way back and be so close to winning this game, you can't help but be proud of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's something that I want to talk about as far as a trend that I'm seeing right now, especially these last two games. It happened on, Wednesday night against the Rockets. We're starting out the game slow. These last two games, we're starting out the third quarter slow. And sometimes if you don't, if you do let go of the rope, you look and, you're giving up whether it's 31 points, I believe, to the Rockets in the first quarter, or 34 to the Hawks. And then, the third quarter, thankfully, against the Rockets, they didn't let go of the rope and they were able to rectify the terrible start that it seemed to have. But against the Hawks, they outscore you by 7 in the third quarter and you give up 36 points. So that's the trend I'm starting to see. And that's the one thing I wanted to add about this game, against the Hawks, is that it did also bleed over against the Rockets. And it's just something that you're going to have to get together before you start playing, well-oiled machines again.
Taking a look at the box score for the Magic, Paolo Banchero, 18 points. Moritz Wagner was great again, 16 points, 5 of 10 from the floor, added 10 rebounds. Relatively, good game from Franz, even though he wasn't super efficient. 19 points, 6 of 18 from the floor, but 5 of 5 from the free throw line, added 7 rebounds. Markelle Fultz, high score for the Magic. Markelle was awesome, especially down the stretch. 24 points, added 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 11 of 19 from the floor. Terrence Ross, 14 points. Mo Bamba, decent Mo Bamba game, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Had some big rebounds in this game. We've talked about Admiral Schofield. In his 13 minutes gives you 9 points. So, nobody played particularly well, I thought, apart from Markelle and maybe Moritz Wagner, until, those last few minutes defensively, and that unit really, really locked in. Bol to me, I don't think we're going to spend too much time talking about Bol in this episode. But Luke, do you feel like lately Bol is lost it a little bit from kind of what we saw at the beginning of the season? And this is the most basketball that he's played in his professional career. I don't want to say he's necessarily like a rookie, but there is something to that. He may be hitting some kind of wall.
Yeah, and I think that the wall that we're thinking about too is just that teams are able to scout him. You talk about, him being basically like still kind of a rookie in some ways, just because I don't know how many games he's played up to this point. It looks like maybe like just at over 82 games, I think. I don't know if my math is great. I just looked at Basketball Reference real quick and tried to add up his games, but I'm also an idiot, and it tells you right there he's played 85. But with Bol, I mean, this is the thing that happens, right? You talk about the rookie wall, the things that the rookies do well. The NBA has so many people on staff. They have a whole team that is scouting, and they build these scouting reports, obviously, and you're just able to get a better handle on players and what they excel at. People know if Bol puts the ball on the ground, just swipe for it because you're not blocking his shot, and he's just going to try to drive and be able to kind of use his force and his length to get through you. If you don't swat at the ball, swat low on him. We saw it tonight, against Houston. He puts the ball on the floor and it just gets swatted away. It's an easy turnover, in my opinion. So unfortunately, a lot of Bol's strengths can also play to weakness as well. The fact that he moves like a guard. He doesn't necessarily have a tight handle like a guard. He just has such a big frame to shield defenders from getting the ball from him sometimes, especially on the fast break. They don't know what's happening, so I think it has a lot to do with just people are figuring it out. But that's not to say Bol can't improve. I think absolutely in one vein, what's a negative, and him being just past his rookie amount of like one season also can function as a positive. He's got room to grow. He's going to figure it out. People are figuring him out, and he's going to figure out counters. So we'll see how Bol responds, but right now, absolutely, it feels like there's a little bit of a wall that he's hit for probably a plethora of reasons.
I'm just looking at his month-by-month splits right now on Basketball Reference. Yeah. So October, only 7 games. He wasn't starting at that point. He was playing 20 minutes a game. And then November starts all 15 games, was up to 30 minutes. And now in December through 10 games, 24 minutes. So them kind of bringing his minutes down a little bit. Maybe some of that is due to, like, we saw an uptick in turnovers for him in the month of November. And maybe part of that is kind of realizing that some teams aren't the best matchup for him and getting away from him at times. But I think some of that may be, all right, let's dial back your minutes a little bit, let you get your wind back, and we'll kind of go from there. But that's just something to monitor. Bol, especially like the last week hasn't quite looked exactly the same. So, but we'll keep an eye on that, and like you said, I'm sure he'll bounce back pretty quickly. Okay, so let's talk about the Rockets game from tonight. So another good Magic win, 116-110 over the Houston Rockets. You finish out the 4-game road trip 3-1. You're now 7-1 over your last 8 games. We talked about the fact that the Magic are now 2.5 games back of the Toronto Raptors for the final play-in. The Raptors, a team that you kind of need to keep pace with if you want to stay dangerous in the play-in conversation. And then another team that we're chasing, the Bulls. Both of them won tonight while the Magic were still playing. So it was like, all right, you went into this game. Markelle Fultz said Monday after the loss that Wednesday in Houston was a must-win. And I really think because they are looking at the standings, they want to stay relatively close to those teams that are above them. But this is a team that you go into expecting to win. And if this team has really turned the corner, they should begin to beat the teams that they should beat. But like you mentioned, this trend of slow starts continued. You're down in 14 in the first quarter. The Rockets are just kind of keeping the Magic at arm's length in the first half. They're down 10 at the half, the Magic. And then they're down 15 in the third. Like you said, not a great start to the third quarter. But then the Magic go on a 17-2 run to tie the game in the third quarter. Largely in part, Luke, due to zone defense, something that we have criticized all season long. Hats off to Mosley. He switched it up in the third quarter, and it absolutely worked. Houston had no idea what to do with it. But then, again, the Magic tie the game in the third. They're down 2 heading into the final quarter. The Magic take their first lead on a Cole Anthony 3 with 7 minutes, 11 seconds to go. And then you're able to do enough down the stretch to keep the lead at that point. The Rockets had 16 turnovers in this game. 8 of them were in the fourth quarter. 5 of them came in the last 5 minutes. The Magic just 4 second half turnovers, and they had 0 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Bench outscores the Rockets 37-27. And again, you end up finishing the road trip with a win, Luke.
That is the one thing you just touched on there. You talk about the turnovers down the stretch for Houston. That is a part where, something that the Magic 3 weeks ago, that's something they would have done. You having 8 turnovers in the final quarter. The Magic have won the turnover battle these last 2 games. I haven't looked back further than that, but going to continue to look at that trend because the Magic win the turnover battle. What I think, let's see, it was 17-11. So the Magic had only 11 turnovers, and then against the Hawks, the Magic had 8 turnovers, which is wildly impressive for a game that was as fast-paced as it was, where you score 125 points. So I think that we're just seeing a lot of growth right now, honestly, and maturity from this team and decision-making. That's what Mosley talked about beginning of the season, media day. He referred to a lot of guys like Markel, Franz, Paolo as his decision makers, or they are good or great decision makers. And that's what he likes about their game. And that's what he really highlighted. And I think we're finally getting to the point where they've gotten to play together long enough now that they know each other, they know tendencies, they know what works and what doesn't. They're figuring out a counter to the opposing team scout as far as, what passes not to make and when to put the ball on the floor and when to, and when to. So I just really want to applaud these guys for what they've done in the turnover category. It's been awesome. And as we've seen, it keeps you in the game. Most importantly, you can look at the turnovers because, Jonathan, what are the things that, what did the Magic do poorly tonight? Magic couldn't shoot free throws to save their life tonight, uncharacteristic of them, honestly, and then couldn't shoot from beyond the arc. But what'd you do well? You didn't turn the ball over, so you stayed in the game with a team that is, in my opinion, inferior. I know that, it seems crazy maybe to say, based just looking at our records, that there's only 3 wins that separate our records. But at the same time, we know that this team is capable. We have not seen that from Houston. Houston's not capable of being considered even like a good team. They're talented. They have a high potential. But as a result, winning the turnover battle, you stay in this game. You're able to hang around. The Magic are down whatever it was, as far as the largest lead. But I never felt like the game was totally out of the realm of possibility. I was texting you guys through it, and I was like joking, like, all right, guys, I'm going to go set up. I'm going to start setting up for recording. It was like the first quarter. But then I followed it up with, but thankfully it's the Rockets, and I don't think they're very good. Like, they're just not very good. It's very easy to mount a comeback against these guys. So if you stick with it, you're able to come back. Don't turn the ball over. And that's what we did. Didn't turn the ball over. Didn't matter that our free throws weren't going in, our 3-pointers weren't going in. Still able to keep up and win this game by 6.
To your point, I just pulled this up. Over the last 5 games, the Magic are 5th in the league in turnover percentage. So as of late, they are doing a lot better job of taking care of the basketball, which is something we've asked all season long. And it's not any coincidence that over the last 5 games, the Magic are 4-1 against like really, really quality opponents. So it's good to see the Magic taking better care of the basketball. 11 turnovers tonight. I will take that all day long. You mentioned the free throw shooting. Magic 23 for 33, missing 11 free throws tonight. This game shouldn't have been as close as it was. Rough first quarter, slow start. Paolo Banchero, fantastic in the first quarter, 14 points. He finishes the night with 23 points, 13 rebounds. Paolo, I want to see some more of that. Him making a impact on the glass. If he can get, close to 10 rebounds a game, him and Wendell, that is like a big game changer for the Magic just in terms of rebounding on a nightly basis. Markel Fultz, 11 points tonight, but just his ability to calm down the team and just get a bucket when you really need it. Markel Fultz is always there. Franz Wagner, 25 points tonight, 9 of 15. I think in the first quarter, started the game 0 of 3. Second quarter, 4 of 6. Third quarter, 4 of 4. Fourth quarter, 1 of 2. So after a rough start to the game, Franz was incredible the rest of the way. Cole Anthony, 15 points, 5 of 13 from the floor. We're going to talk a little bit more just about his role as kind of this sixth man and how he is embracing that, but maybe not totally buying into that role. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but the biggest thing for me was, you get down big in this game. You're down by 14. You kind of close the gap. Then you're down by 15 in the third quarter, but you find a way to win a game that you should win against, like you said, an inferior opponent. Now, that might sound a little bit funny. Like you said, we really not that much separation in the win column, but what the Magic have been able to do recently and what they've shown us, we have another game coming up on Friday that I think the Magic should win. If you are going to start to think that the Magic are a good team, a decent team, have play-in hopes, postseason hopes, whatever, you got to take care of business against inferior opponents. And it was refreshing to see this. They got off to a rough start, and we're like, wow, we're playing down to competition again. And we got a comment on the last episode about, the Magic can't really play down to competition because they're a bad team. That's not what playing down to competition means. It means you play well against good teams and then you play bad against bad teams. It's not really relative to the quality of team that you are. It's just more how you respond to who you're playing on a given night, which is a super frustrating thing. But it's an encouraging sign that you can get down that big against a bad team and still come back. Don't want to make a habit of that, of course, but you can't argue with the results, and they really got it done.
Yeah, absolutely. They ridiculous. And also, obviously Paolo wasn't hitting his free throws tonight. But again, he proves that he's a free throw machine. He gets there 8 times. He shoots 8 free throws tonight against the Rockets. Just insane to me. If you make your free throws, I mean, really, the Rockets could say the same thing. They shot terrible from the free throw line as well, which was fortunate for us. But yeah, would love to see him hit that more. Really uncharacteristic of Paolo. But as David Steele mentioned a lot tonight, Mo Wagner, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. What's his streak at now? I
think it's at 30,
like something
in a row.
Maybe like 34, 35. I'm not sure. But hats off to him. Mo Wagner, keeping us alive. It's going to be interesting when Wendell comes back, see what happens with minutes as far as the center position goes. I'm interested to see what Mose does with it. But Mo Wagner's been incredible.
Don't forget, folks, every day after a Magic victory, you can get 50% off your online order with Papa John's with code MAGICWIN. Make sure you take advantage of that, folks. Been a lot of pizza going on lately. This is, we got the holidays coming up. I'm sure everyone's busy wrapping presents and doing last-minute Christmas shopping. Don't worry about what you're doing for dinner tonight. Just get your 50% off Papa John's. Again, code MAGICWIN. Luke, we touched on this just a moment ago, but I wanted to talk about Cole Anthony. And Cole Anthony really, in his new role, really. Over the last 12 games that Cole Anthony has been coming off the bench, a lot of this has also had to do with Markelle Fultz just being back in the lineup. But in the last 12 games, Cole Anthony coming off the bench, the Magic are 7-5. He's averaging 12 points in 24 minutes, shooting almost 44% from the floor, 32% from the three-point line, and 96% from the free throw line. He's adding 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and almost a steal each game. So although he's been in a different role, in coming off the bench, I think he's more suited for this role to just come in and provide that offensive punch off the bench. And we haven't seen really too much of an increase in his efficiency just yet. But I just feel like the offense is going to function so much better with him in that role. We've talked about this, and it's not necessarily about his talent level, I think. It's just his play style, I think, is more conducive for this team for him to come off the bench. Now, tonight, after the game, again, we talked about, 13 points for him off the bench was a big part of that bench unit, getting the Magic back in the game. He had the post-game interview with Jeff Turner. And during the interview, Jeff asked him, like, how are you embracing this, kind of a 6-man role, like off the bench? Does it change your approach at all to the game? And he said, he really didn't talk about that too much. He just talked about how he feels like he's a starter in this league and he's going to continue to play to that level. Luke, I just wanted to get your thoughts on just Cole kind of coming off the bench, and then what were your take on his comments after the game?
So I will say that Cole provided a stability to the bench unit when Markelle came back and was still kind of getting his legs under him. So I will say that before I go into to what I say next. I just don't know, man. Like you said, he's shooting 44% from the field, basically 32% from three. I mean, he's got a great assist to turnover ratio as it stands. Looks like, in general, this season, 15 games. I don't know if Basketball Reference is updated yet. 1.7 turnovers to pretty much 4 assists. So I will say, in that regard, facilitating wise, he has learned from the times Markelle has been out and he's ran the offense. I think he's getting a lot more comfortable. But another thing that we'll continue to see how it goes. Like he said, I'm a starter in this league. A little bit of a weird comment, but I also think that Jeff Turner might have been digging for that when just the way that he phrased his question, if I remember correctly. It just seemed, how are you embracing it? That sort of thing. Cole is animated. Cole was not that animated in this interview. I think Cole is absolutely irritated that he is not starting. But this is why, at the beginning of the season, Jonathan, when people ask, or when we gave our prediction for the starting lineup, Cole Anthony, if I remember correctly for you, and I know it was for me, Cole Anthony was the sixth man, in my opinion. He's the ideal sixth man. His style of play fits it. Like you said, this might be his best suited role, whether he enjoys that or not. Until he can become more efficient and more of a put the ball in his hands and you can guarantee he's going to get you a bucket, there is no guarantee he's going to get me a bucket, if we're being completely honest. He is a bucket getter, but he's also a chucker, and it is what it is. He's young in his career. I'm not saying that can't change. But just based on his comments as well, it does make me wonder, is he going to become maybe a little bit irritated and unfortunately eventually want out of this situation if he cannot break his way into the starting rotation, if he truly believes he's a starter in this league? Maybe as time goes on, he buys in because the team's good. He sees the future. He sees that he is contributing. Then maybe he buys in. But as it stands, that comment kind of rubbed me the wrong way in terms of really just uncertainty. I would love to keep Cole on the team if it means that he just runs a second unit. I don't have an issue with it. But I do not think that he is a starter on this team right now. It's not saying not never. Like that's just saying maybe eventually.
Yeah, just like my thoughts on his comments. Like, first, I love the confidence. Like, you want your guy to like believe that he's a starter. I don't know that it is necessarily the best time or best context to say that. You would just love to hear a guy say like, "Hey, I'm just going to do whatever the coaches ask me to do. Like, we're winning. Like, whatever is best for the team." And I'm not saying this to like just kind of like knock Cole. Like, he is unfiltered. He is Cole Anthony. He's always going to be that. I don't know that I necessarily want him to get away from that, because I feel like his bravado and his attitude and the way that he leads guys, I think is super valuable to this team. But I do feel like he is best suited on this team coming off of the bench for a couple of reasons. One is the defense. I feel like this team is not going to, with the current roster construction, is never going to be like this juggernaut offensively, at least not for a few years, until Paolo and Franz like really get it going. When they're putting up 25 to 30 every night, like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, things would be a little bit different then. But this team needs to hang its hat on the defensive end. And when a guy like Gary Harris comes back or Jalen Suggs, I would like to see one of those guys in the backcourt with Markelle Fultz. And the other thing is, this team really only has 2 functioning point guards. And if Markelle Fultz is starting, what does that look like for the bench unit, and who is going to be orchestrating the offense at that point? Because with Markelle Fultz starting, Cole Anthony coming off of the bench and kind of running the second unit, all of a sudden we don't have to worry about there not being a functioning point guard on the floor. So for a lot of those reasons, I do think, and we've talked about this, and not everybody agrees with this, and that is totally fine. I know how much people love Cole Anthony, and rightfully so. I just think long term, that's the best option for this team. I don't even know that I necessarily want to get into is he going to be upset and want to move elsewhere where he's going to be a starter on another team? That is a possibility. I don't even want to think about that at this point. I feel like we have so much other things to figure out and to worry about. And I don't think Cole is anywhere near that point right now. But could that be a concern down the road? Possibly. I hope not anytime soon. That would be super, super, super disappointing, especially when you look at the way a guy like RJ Hampton has kind of handled himself, a guy very deserving of minutes in a role, absolutely getting the furthest thing from that right now. So, I think the bench has been great with Cole Anthony. We're winning games. We're 7-5 with him coming off of the bench since he's come back. I just want to keep winning games. It's going to be tricky when guys start to come back. Like we talked about Wendell coming back on Friday. Mo Wagner has been a big piece of the winning recently, but of course you're going to put Wendell Carter back into the starting lineup. And then when guys start to come back, it's how much do we want to mess with what has been working lately? Even though you want to play Jalen Suggs over Kevon Harris. You want to play Jonathan Isaac and Chuma Okeke when he comes back over Admiral Schofield. But then it's hey, this is kind of working. If it ain't broke, why fix it? But I think for the future of this team, there are guys that need to play and questions that we need answers to that you won't get without kind of mixing things up a little bit. We've talked about this all season. We don't envy the decisions that Mosley has to make when this team is healthy. But hey, it's working right now. Let's all be happy. Let's keep winning some ball games, right? Luke, let's look ahead. Last game of the week here coming up on Friday at home versus the San Antonio Spurs. They play the Pelicans on Thursday. Right now, their best player all season long has been Keldon Johnson. Right now, he's doubtful for Thursday's game at New Orleans. If he's doubtful, just kind of 24 hours from that game, my question is, how likely is he to play in Orlando? And if Keldon Johnson doesn't play for the Spurs in Orlando, I do feel good about the Magic's chances, but I'll feel even better about the Magic's chances on Friday. Luke, what do you think about this matchup coming up against the Spurs?
I mean, you get Dell back, and everything looks even brighter. Like you said, you're bringing guys back. You want to plug them in. You want to put them into the game to just because they're the better player. And that's essentially what it boils down to. At the end of the day, as well, this team is valuing growth and development over winning, even though they are both can be a priority. Young guys want to win, but I do think that there's something to be said about the continuity of these lineups that we've had and just getting familiar, right? So you're putting guys back in. If you're getting Jalen back soon, I don't know, but if you're getting him back soon, if you're getting hopefully Wendell back Friday, you're just plugging guys back in that are playing pivotal roles in this team's future. Like you said, you got to value the future as well. So that's the development piece. Now, as far as the Spurs go, they're another team that really what I'm looking at and what I will be paying close attention to is the turnover battle again. The Spurs are very close to the Magic in terms of just being turnover prone in this season as a whole. So when you take out a decision maker like a Keldon Johnson, if that's the case, I feel even better about our chances of winning the turnover battle. I think there's definitely something that coincides there. They go hand in hand. The Magic are 26th in the league with 16 turnovers, or really fifth worst, and with 16 turnovers a game. And the Spurs are third worst at 16, and then we played the worst on Wednesday night against Houston. So we'll see what happens, but that's really what I'm going to be looking at. I think, here in the last 3 games, the Magic have been in the top 15 in terms of protecting the ball, whereas the Spurs in the last 3 games have still been in that bottom 5 or 6 conversation in terms of turnovers. So that's what I'm looking at. I like the matchup. I think the Magic are the better team. Spurs beat the Rockets pretty handily the other night. But I'm hopeful that the Magic will be able to get this one on Friday as well.
I'm going to go as far to say as this is another must-win. This is a team that has not been good so far to start the season. They're 10-20 currently, and it's going to be their second night of a back-to-back, their final game before they head back home for Christmas. They're going to be looking forward to getting back home, spending the holiday with their families. The Magic should win this game pretty comfortably. I want to see a double-digit win, 10 or more points for the Orlando Magic. I think it is totally manageable. I don't think I'm asking for a lot. You've given us a lot of presents the last couple of weeks, the Orlando Magic. I'm asking for one more Christmas present. I'm going to be at this game. My daughter is now 4 years old, and I think this is going to be her third game that she's ever been at, but it's going to be the first game that she really can kind of understand what's going on. And, be a great experience for me and my daughter. First game that she ever remembers. A nice little double-digit win over the San Antonio Spurs. Would really appreciate that, my guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Magic should finish out the week here 2-1, just like Luke and I predicted. Because, we just know everything, and we knew exactly how this week was going to play out.
That's true.
But let's get the win over the Spurs and close out the week here. What do you say?
Absolutely.
All right, folks, before we sign off here, again, going to remind you, coming up on Saturday, January 7th, when the Magic are in Golden State to take on the Warriors, we're going to be at the Porch South Orange at 4757 South Orange Ave for another one of our watch parties. Right now, just think 8 o'clock is going to be the watch party. If that changes, we will be sure to let you know. So stay tuned to see if that changes at all. But I think we're safe for 8 o'clock. I think, Luke, did the Magic send us over some materials lately? Did that have a time on it? We'll have to double check that at the end of this episode, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be 8 o'clock. Yep. Producer Kevin, right in the ear there, 8 o'clock. So make sure that you guys are there. And this is going to be our last episode before Christmas. So just want to thank you all for your support just throughout the year, and hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Hope you have a wonderful Merry Christmas with you, your family, your friends. Just be good to each other. This is that special time of year where you just want to be kind to one another. So we hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Luke, I think that's going to do it for us.
Yeah. Go Magic, baby. Let's get this one on Friday.
Let's get this dub. All right, folks. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Sixth Man Show. We will catch you guys next time. Have a Merry Christmas. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!